Hey, what's going on YouTube? You got a brother Apocalypse coming to y'all right now, man. About to have a little quick conversation. I want to show y'all something, man. I was watching a video, and I believe it is NETER television. Now, you know, they have been having a big problem with this argument, this revelation that some of us may have a indigenous past, may not be from Africa. And I'm looking at a show here right now, and it was dated May 27, 2018. So far, the video has 9,773 views. And so we're gonna look at this video real quick because what I'm seeing is just absolutely pathetic. It 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 it, it is obvious what is being done here. They have, I believe, two speakers who come on, individuals that's supposed to be that claims to be indigenous, and I'm gonna weigh in on that too because some of us need to before we claim to be indigenous, I think that may be something that you should prove. The best way to do that is to start checking your family ancestry. Check it to the oldest place that maybe your family lived in the country. Check records. Just do some research first before you just claim to say, okay, I'm indigenous, and this is what I want to be because there is this revelation out there that could possibly prove that that there is a huge amount of us that did not come over here from Africa. I happen to be one of those individuals. I have traced my ancestry in this country all the way back to 1509 so far, and we're talking 17 years after Columbus came here, 279 years before the Revolutionary War, and about 280 something odd years before they ratified the Articles of Confederation into the Constitution of the United States. So you're talking about almost 300 years before America was even created, and 17 years after Columbus first got here. And so I'm about to take a trip to the region of where this family ancestry could be traced back. I've been there before, been there several times, and it's an amazing place. And so I'm going to be going there because from what I'm hearing, there may be records that be able to take us past pre-Columbus times. But, you know, we'll talk about that issue when we get to that. I just want you to observe this show here. And I'm going to set this on a stand because we're going to watch this together. And I just want you to take a look at what I'm seeing here. I'm going to turn my TV here. So I want you guys to really get a good look at this. It is, to me, it is absolutely just pathetic what I see them doing. It's like they're, you know, trying to make, it's like, first of all, they're picking people who they know, excuse me. They're picking people who they know really don't. Okay, there we go. We're reconnected. All right, reconnected. All right, sorry about that, guys. Now, let's take a look at this here. Okay. Now, let's take a look at this video because it seems like to me that they're picking people who they know don't really have any real knowledge. And the sad thing about it, it's four of them, and sometimes five against one person. The individuals that they have in this video are supposed to be scholarly people. This is supposed to be a woman who considers herself indigenous. And so I'm going to back it up here so we can watch it from the beginning. And I just need you guys to watch this. This is, to me, this is just, to me, it's ultra pathetic what I'm seeing here. But I'm just going to break all this down. Let's go back and see if we could go back to the beginning before they even start this farce that they call a fair debate. Like that, you know, let's take a look at this here.
we're going to keep doing what we're doing and let people know what it is. Because we're not going to allow people to put out misinformation continuously while we're here doing nothing just to watch them do it all over and over and over. Divine suspect, the reason why I call it divine suspect is because it's very suspicious what he's doing or what he's trying to do.
Now, this individual is known as Brother Garfield. He is one of the spokesmen and supposedly scholars of this African conscious community. And I want to say this too before I get started to the individuals who subscribe to me. I want to thank you for sticking with me, because when I started this channel, it was more in the aspect of politics, and there was a lot of prophecies that I made about the Trump presidency, which have astoundingly accurately come true. And so I'm going to be doing a show tomorrow about President Trump and where I think we're headed as far as that presidency goes. And so, like I said, once again, I want to thank y'all for sticking with me. And you may find other people starting to subscribe to this page because this debate is interesting in that community. But let's move on. This guy's Brother Garfield. Let's hear what he got to say.
The NFL kneel. Hey, peace and love, man, DC. We're going to talk about the NFL kneel policy. We're going to talk about Morgan Freeman. We're going to talk about red and blue pill. And we're going to talk about Brother Polite, Sarah said Young Pharaoh, the Aboriginals, Dr. York. And so tune in now. You could jump on YouTube and you could see that we here, and we're going to get into some deep information. And the reason why we need to get into a deep information is because people are continuously putting out misinformation. And that's what we are here to do. We're here to stop that. And how the only way we're going to stop that, family, is if we start putting out the truth. All right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the live stream here on Facebook. I just want to say to you guys, I'm about to go in on the whole thing about the Aboriginals. I'm going to play a piece of that video. And then what I'm going to do is there's a brother by the name of YK The Truth. I'm going to look at some of his videos, and we need to look at that real fast and see what we're doing and what we're doing wrong. So that, you see, people are just loving the misinformation. They don't like the truth. So they keep pushing out the misinformation for a reason. All right? Hold on, here we go.
All right, here we go, guys.
Is,
let's watch this real close.
This was Friday. All right? And I want you guys to pay attention to some of the things that's being said.
Oh, we're going to pay very close attention.
We got Sister Naya here. And we got a
Sister Naya.
She was an Aboriginal. Right?
I'm going to name as many of these people as I can who doesn't give their name.
Did we lose her?
Now that's Brother NETER.
Was that her husband or her father or something like that?
Looked like him. She looked like him.
Now this is a brother named Unk. He likes to call himself the God Killer. He's with a squad called, they calls himself the Amun Ra Squad. The brother got a little knowledge, but you know, I think because he prejudices certain aspects of knowledge, I think that's where he really limits himself. You know, he probably could be far more greater in intelligence than he is right now. But let's listen. Let's listen to him.
You know what I'm saying? Where you just like tell live vision, telling live vision, right?
Now they got this lady who calls herself an Aborigine. She's the one who's sort of saying, "Hey, I'm indigenous," and let's just move on.
Pseudo-scientific language first. So, you know, pseudo-mathematics, pseudo-science. You know, at the end of the day, man, you know, we here to break that chain and to really put us back where we're supposed to be. So we really got it all back. So the goal is to allow us to watch the whole picture. Because a lot of times we okay, I got that part, right? And so we look at this white man's devil, right? But we look at just one half of the world. And so if we look at the other half of the world, we'll see that it's a big world. So I like to ask everybody this question. Underground Railroad, right?
Sorry about that. Reconnecting again. I'm sorry. I don't know why this video, keeps doing this. As a matter of fact, you know what? I might just start this thing all over again. This thing keeps cutting off. And I really want this video to be one whole. It is showing 11 minutes, so it is recontinuing. So we're still live. Let's just go ahead and continue here. And let's go.
Does anybody know?
Now, he's talking about the Underground Railroad. Let's get to the part where they are interviewing this lady. Let's see here if she's brought back.
A Facebook. And then now let me go back to...
Okay, let's go back here. And here's NETER. Let's see if they have the sister.
I'm on the call and I'm talking to the queen. And I asked her, all right, if I show it. He says she has something of showing. Right or wrong, sister? All right.
Now, I believe they have the sister. I believe they had a sister on here. You could barely hear her, so just bear with me as far as this video goes, because some of the sound of some of the stuff she was saying, she was coming out so distorted.
All right, hold on. It's rowdy. That's not you? All right, now that's the sister, y'all. I want y'all to know that this is the Aborigine that y'all looking at. She's the Nigeria with the Nigeria king and queen, and she's in the middle. That's our sister.
So this is the young lady right here.
Yeah, that's our sister. So now, talk to our sister Naya. Explain to her that you are an Aborigine, not African. Go ahead and talk.
Oh, you want me to explain how I'm Indigenous and not African?
Right, right.
Okay, so let me explain. First of all, it's the whole African thing. That's a whole other thing. So much moving there.
Did we lose her?
But NETER, was that her husband or her father or something like that?
Look like them. She looked like them.
NETER. NETER.
She looked Nigerian.
NETER froze. But yeah, was that her husband or?
Nigerian. I thought she was Nigerian. Ah, man, come on, man.
Look at this here. You see this? They're laughing already. This whole thing is a setup.
That's one of their points that they like to bring up.
Watch how pathetic. Now, we could barely hear this lady, but she's just rambling. She hasn't really gave any real evidence of how she knows she's an Aborigine or what we know as an indigenous African, the indigenous Indian. The argument here is that when the Pilgrims, when Columbus, when the early settlers from Europe and Spain came here to America and South America, they found large amounts of indigenous copper-colored, cinnamon-colored people. This is in their records. It's basically what they wrote down. They saw when they got here that the Indians that they discovered when they came here was actually us. That the individuals who believe that they're African Americans from Africa, that whole story was fabricated, and that there was actually a brown-skinned, Africanoid-looking indigenous population already here. And they called these people copper-colored or cinnamon-colored. Okay? Now, this is what she's claiming. And I will say this. To me, when you say you are an Aborigine, it sounds to me as ignorant as when you say you are African, because Africa is a whole continent. You could say you came from West Africa, South Africa, East Africa. That still doesn't make a difference to me. When you say I come from Africa and you don't associate yourself with any country, any region, or any tribe, you sound just as ignorant to me as the individual who says I'm an Aborigine and can't associate themselves with any certain region of the country or certain tribe. So let's move on.
All right, hold on, sister. Hold on, sister. Now, the sister on the screen, these are our new Aborigines, y'all. They are denouncing themselves, and Sister Naya called.
Look at, they already laughing. You see that?
It right out. She dropped it, sister.
Look at the sister down here. She laughing already.
You look just like the West. You look. Hold up. You look just like some of the West Africans. That's just crazy.
Now, the fact that he's saying, NETER is saying that she looked like the Africans, it's not really a big point, because that is the issue. That when they came here, they found individuals that looked like Africans. That we had the same complexion, almost the same hair. We look just like the Africans did. So I don't understand why that would be an issue or shocking issue, why he would make a point of that. But let's continue.
All right, now hold on, sister. Hold on for a minute. Hold on. We got a doctor in the building. I got a doctor in the building. And so Dr. Naya, hold on, y'all. Dr. Naya, talk to our sister, ask some questions, and let's see what we can get out of this.
Okay, thank you, Brother Tanai.
Now, this lady, Naya, at the bottom, let me get this stuff out the way. She's supposed to be a doctor, okay? Now, let me tell you something. First of all, if I'm on this panel and somebody's introducing me to somebody who's a so-called doctor, you ain't gonna ask me no damn questions till I ask you some questions. The first question is gonna be, what do you practice as a doctor? What type of credentials do you got? And what type of practice are you engaged in as a doctor? I'm going to want to know what college you went to. I'm going to want to know what was your areas of study, what was your main focus of areas of study, and what are your degree credentials before I answer any damn questions that you ask me. One of the main reasons why you would do that, first of all, establish this person is a doctor. You don't even know if this lady's a doctor or not because you haven't even asked her the proper questions. Number two, that will give you some idea of how or what type of education or knowledge this woman has. So the minute she starts talking about something that her degree program, her area of study can't support because she doesn't have knowledge in that area due to the fact that her area of study doesn't even have anything to do with the issues or questions that you answering her or she's asking you, you can immediately hold her in check. So when she tells you what degree she's got, ask her questions like, well, what does that entail? Make sure you know what she know. And that way y'all both know. So when she started asking you questions about stuff where her academic degree don't even cover, you could check her immediately. Immediately start laughing. Like, what the hell are you asking me that for? You have no expertise in that area. Immediate shutdown right there. Now let's listen to her line of questioning, because to me, it is kind of funny. It's ridiculous, really.
What is your name, sister? I'm sorry. I missed your name. What's your name? Oh, okay, Giovanni. Thank you for joining us. So the first thing I wanted to ask you was, how tall are you? Your height.
Very dumb, unnecessary question. Why are you asking her height? If she is claiming to be indigenous, why are you asking her height? That's an irrelevant question. And I'm going to get to why in a minute.
Okay, so you're 5'2". Okay, and you were born in Nigeria or America?
Look at the laughter. Look at him. Look at him. This is a big setup.
Do you know the name of your fourth ancestor on your mother's side?
Absolutely dumbass question. Absolutely dumb. And watch her response. Watch the lady who's claiming to be indigenous. Watch her response to this woman's question. And watch the so-called doctor's answer of why she asked it.
That was just a yes or no. That was just a yes or no question. I said, do you know the name?
Listen, hold on. We're trying to figure it out now. We're trying to.
Like, I didn't ask you for her name. I asked you, do you know her name? That's a different question. Okay. So
now, why would it make any difference whether you know her name or not? It's a stupid question. The question is, honestly, for both sides, have you traced your ancestry back to an indigenous Indian tribe? Have you done that? Have you found that ancestor? Could you give us some information on what tribe they might have belonged to? They're not going to know anything about the culture. They may, if they can find records or find out things, but they're not going to know anything about the culture and what the Indians did or what they ate or what their religious practices was, especially if they were just found out this information by doing the research and tracing them to this certain tribe. So a lot of things they're not going to know, but that's the first question you got to ask. And with Africans, here's my question with the African, the individual African-American who says he's from Africa. My opinion is this, and it's a damn good opinion, because this is the one that will definitely say 100% that you came over here from Africa. Bottom line is this: if you haven't traced your ancestry to the slave boat that brought your original ancestor over here, then you cannot attach yourself to a story that you can have mega knowledge on it, and they seem to have a lot of knowledge about the slave trade. They seem to have a lot of knowledge about the history of the slave trade. They seem to have a lot of knowledge about the ships, the records that still exist according to slavery. But what I don't understand is how can we have 4 scholarly people, close to over 100 scholarly people in the conscious community, and not one of y'all with all this scholarly skills and research abilities can't research your ancestry, can't team up and research one of your ancestry to the slave boat that brought you over here. Because until you can do that, you cannot truly say you're from Africa. You can't do it. Now, let's move on.
Which language do you speak? What's your native language?
Hold on. I'm trying to help you.
Giovanni, what's the native language? What's the name of your tribe and the native language that you speak?
Now, she made a good point. They're asking her questions that they really should be asking themselves. They're saying they're from Africa. And her response is, I don't hear you telling me the freaking native African language that you speak in the name of your tribe, which is a good response. I don't understand. Here's the thing. I know the from Africa to America concept for African Americans is a very old one. It has been around longer than the indigenous, or say more popular than the indigenous factor. But at the same time, if you cannot trace your ancestry back to the slave boat that brought your ancestor over here, which means you don't know the tribe that person came from, which means you can't say you got off that boat because you ain't got a family member that got off the boat, which means you can't say you came from Africa. You are on the same footing as these individuals who are calling themselves aborigines. I don't know why y'all think somebody need to answer y'all questions. Because ain't none of y'all really proved that you have come from that continent. None of y'all. You believe this story. You've accepted this story. You've accepted information on certain tribal customs and things of that nature. But none of y'all has traced your ancestry to the slave boat that brought y'all over here. So until y'all do that, you are on the same footing as the aborigine, in my opinion. Y'all both on the same footing. They don't owe you no explanation. And if they do, you owe them one too. Now let's continue. See, they laughing, but they know she telling the truth. She made a point. Look at the smile on his face. Look like he constipated a little bit. She don't constipated his behind. That's right. Now they say she not answering a straight question. She did. Tell me your tribe. She answered it. Tell me your tribe and its customs. Mr. Africa. And every time y'all say Africa, y'all sound just like the people who say indigenous. Y'all sound just as ignorant and just as confused and just as empty-minded about where you really come from. You choosing a place just like them. The only difference between y'all and them right now is that y'all have had the opportunity to study more about Africa than they have about America or the Indian tribes that have lived in this country and those tribes' customs. That's it.
That's their native style, is their Afro. We see Afros on the pyramid, not the pyramids, but the ancient Egyptian monuments and writings. Like they were wearing Afros. And so, like, you know,
they have indigenous pictures in pyramids here in the North, in South America, with the indigenous people having Afros. So I don't know where he's getting that from. Anywhere where you see a darker race of indigenous people. I don't care where they travel to and colonize, you're going to see groups of them that have the afro. Bottom line. So
Afro
he's right, but he's limited in how he's answering this.
That is, North American or something of this nature. The afro is very old, just like dreadlocks are very old, saying amongst us. But, I would, we try to ask direct questions so we can follow the logic of your conclusion. It's not to embarrass you.
It is to embarrass her. It is to humiliate her. And she can't really blame them because she kind of walked into this on her own. And she's claiming to be something without really having valid proof, and also unprepared with the people that she's facing. I mean, it is an unfair panel. There's only one of her, and you see 1, 2, 3, you see NETER, and then you got Garfield, the Jamaican guy that's in the background, that's jumping in and out of the conversation. So it takes 5 of these individuals who's supposed to be so scholarly and knowledgeable to take on one lady who they don't know what she's talking about. And I know for a fact that NETER is handpicking these people because he's saying, if you want to come on and speak, call me and I'll do an interview with you. So he is doing a dry one with these people to make sure they're perfectly right for him to bring them on the show and embarrass them. Let's continue.
It's not to, this isn't 48 hours and we don't have you in a small white room and things of this nature. We're just trying to see your perspective. And in order for us to truly see your perspective, we must ask these critical questions. So we're asking enough questions.
Critical questions? I only heard him ask one question that was really critical. What is your tribe and what is your language? And that's the question they need to be asking their damn self, claiming to be from Africa.
But we don't necessarily have to pry into your personal business. And so, asking, do you know the name of your fourth grandparent or your mother's side, is not asking for the name per se, but just do you know? Because this will speak to, do you have knowledge of your ancestry going back to that? And so part of being, an African American is that we can only go so back when it comes to our grandparents, because of that history has been erased from us. So,
listen, now let me tell you something. That statement he just made, that what makes you an African American is that you can only go back so far in your history, because you can't go back as far as your grandparents, because the rest of the history has been erased. Now, one of the individuals, another guy who's in this video, is going to speak. He is going to totally contradict that. Not only is he going to contradict that, so will Unc and so will other people. They will say, yes, you can go back in your ancestry. Yes, you can go back in your ancestry if you African American and trace your roots if you scholarly and know how to do the research as far back as you want to, basically. And when they make these statements, I'm going to bring that up. Remember the gentleman who said you only can go back so far. This is what proves you're an African American. So this is one of the ways they're going to say she's an African American, because she couldn't name her fourth aunt. She couldn't name her fourth. I don't even know what ridiculous crap. It was ridiculous. It proves nothing. Let's move on.
One of those people who can't name those people back into those days, then it would be hard for us to accept, that you were going back through a lineage perspective, since you're not doing the DNA, that this information was passed on from, from parent to parent to parent to parent, for you specifically to be an Aboriginal of this country.
Now, he's saying if you're Aboriginal, you should be able to trace your history back, and the story should be passed down from parent to parent to parent to parent. Then I'm going to show you in a section of this video where they talk about the Indians being wiped out according to the historical stories that exist now. They are going to say it. So if the Indians are wiped out, how do you have any connection with the stories passed down? It's just ridiculous. Let's move on.
And so I hope everyone's there.
All right, so now let's go back to Dr. Sister Anaya. Come on, sister, let's finish this up. And sister, please bear with us, because you might say something that can trigger something in me to say, you know what? Damn, I'm a native. It ain't even.
Man, NETER. Let me tell you something. NETER is bull crapping. His job is to embarrass this lady. He has a big TV show, NETER TV. It hosts and is a platform for all these conscious people in the African conscious community. And it's global. And he's making money from it. So, NETER is a businessman. I know this about him. I've watched him long enough to know this. And when you're a businessman, sometimes you have a tendency, and this is what makes some businessmen successful and some of them fail. You have a tendency to put aside morals, to put aside respect, and only see the bottom line. Now, am I saying this brother is doing this? He may be. Do I believe he's doing it? Hell yeah. Am I saying it's factual he's doing this? That could be argued. But it seems to me that he has no intention but to embarrass this sister, because I think this whole idea of us being indigenous is a threat to this conscious community, where not only NETER is making money, but a whole lot of them is making money as well.
Right, so I hear the sister comparing herself to Africans, but it's important that she just focuses on American history, so we can focus on South American history and North American history, and we don't even have to talk about Africans per se, because if you are indigenous to Americas, you will know your fourth ancestor. You will have your own language that you speak today.
That is bull crap, because according to the historical stories, there have been Indian tribes, whole nations of tribes that's been totally wiped out. The language is gone according to the historical records. And you'll hear them say this. So the statement that she's making is absolute bullcrap. And I don't think this girl is a doctor of nothing. The closest she might have ever came to being a doctor is drinking a Dr. Pepper.
And you just have a tribe and a tribe.
And she said you'll have a tribe and a tribe. She said you'll have a tribe and a tradition. Come on. Come on. If it's important that if you want somebody to stick to American history, you should kind of know it yourself. Even if you look at the group of Mongoloid Indians, which are the Indians that look sort of palish, almost like they're Eskimos, had a slant-eyed look to them. Even those Indians, you can see pictures of them where they were just, their tribes were just routed. Their parents is, in some of the pictures of the children, the parents are missing, gone on a what you call it, the reservation. And on the reservations, they stripped them of all their language. They wouldn't let them do none of their traditional dances, none of that. The children, they were dressed up like English kids. They were put in almost like orphanages, hairs cut to look like white kids. And you see them in these pictures in schools with white kids. So they stripped them of everything. And it's a goddamn shame that this doctor, so-called doctor here, and these individuals don't know that, but they will admit it once this lady is off the phone.
For those things, slavery could not take those things from you. There's no way. You should still have those particular things intact. So if you don't have them, do you have an explanation why you don't remember your language? Do you know why you don't have a culture or a tribe if you're indigenous to this continent? Have you figured that out?
I'll tell you why, right? I'll tell you why right now. Because the indigenous people, all right, I'm being quiet.
Look at them. They've handpicked this lady now. And it's all these people against her. This is what really makes this funny. I've never seen me. I would have ate every last one of their behinds for breakfast. I'm serious. They wouldn't have never got, the doctor wouldn't have never got nowhere as far as she did in her line of questioning, nor her perspective in a conversation with me. She would immediately got ate up, smacked down, and I would have been asking them, who is this fraudulent individual you got on TV? Even when you listen to her talk, she doesn't have any academic vocabulary whatsoever. No, but she is making a great point. Her point is, why do y'all say Africa? Well, where's your language? Where's your tribe? Where's your culture? Where's your, these people over there don't call themselves African. I don't been over there. She's telling them, I've been there. They don't call themselves African. So what she's telling her in her own way is that these are questions you should be asking yourself, sister, about why you identify yourself with Africa. And they are legitimate questions. And any individual out here who considers themselves indigenous, like I said, if I was you, I would do the research first before I would just claim to be something without having the proper research done to validate that, number one. And number two, don't ever think you owe any of these individuals who call themselves African American any explanation of why you think you are who you are, when the same questions they're asking you, you need to be asking them. Because like I said, as far as I'm concerned, until they can trace their ancestry to the slave boat that brought them over here, they really do not have any clue where they're from. They can accept that story. They can say, I know I'm from Africa, all they want to. But until they find that ancestor, they don't know who they are. They don't know what tribe they came from. They know nothing, period. Let's continue.
Answer the question. Let's answer the question, sis, so we can understand.
African Americans are more okay, because they don't have no African tribes on the continent, and on other continent, they African. Their ancestors, on this continent, North America, playing whether from a ship or whether was in already, you still, if you had this color, you was already, you had might have had problems. I don't know. My family, I can't find a spaceship, okay? And they ain't giving you no proof of spaceship, but you don't care. It's like, it's not like they said it was true. Every time they find a ship that was an abandoned ship on the PMC, what's in it? Gold, jewels, ships.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys.
Okay, so is there anything that you can tell us about your Native American culture? Because you're focused on Africans. can you tell us something about your culture? Do you have a creation story? Do you have a God? Do you worship a tree? What do you, like, what?
Now you see the frustration coming out of the so-called doctor, because she's asking her, how dare you ask me these questions when I don't see none of y'all solving none of these questions, calling yourself African. Now this lady is supposed to be a doctor, and now she's being condescending to the lady. Do you worship a tree? Come on, stop playing. She don't got up under your skin. This is really funny, man. I swear to God. Pathetic to watch, but funny.
What culture, what parts of Native American culture have you retained to be able to think that those people are you? What part of your existence says that you are Native American other than your skin color?
That's all you gotta do, sister. Because if you knew, you wouldn't be dancing and going on around. No, it's all right.
That was some Chris Brown dancing right there.
You see it now? Look at him all giggling. We didn't bring you on here to embarrass you. What'd he say? That was some Chris Brown dancing. They are some little con artists, and they weak. I mean, y'all look weak. Everybody that participated in this crap looks so weak right now. Y'all look pathetically weak. You haven't made yourself your argument, and nothing looks strong. You look very weak.
He said, quiz. Hold on, let me say this real fast. Nah, damn near not. Hey, sis, let me say this.
Sister, let's ask you a specific question. You should be able to answer that. Go ahead,
Hey, but what I like to say is, I think that line of questioning was excellent.
Yes.
It was not. It was excellently ridiculous. For real. Excellently unnecessary. Excellent bullshit. Let's go on.
I promise you, and I'm starting to feel at this point that I can't believe, right, that the black people in America don't got enough sense once they call themselves Aboriginal to actually figure out which one of them groups they're gonna be. You know what I'm saying?
Now, you hear him say that? Oh my God. Let's play that again. Because this is a joke they just cracked on themselves, which is what the lady's been telling me. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's let him say that again. Let's go back here. Let's hear him say that again.
It's all right.
Listen to him again. That's Unc over there in the corner. Look at him, Chris Brown. All you can see is his teeth. Watch the question he asked. And they all laughing.
Well, what I like to say is, I think that line of questioning was excellent.
Yes.
And I promise you, and I'm starting to feel at this point, I can't believe, right, that the black people in America don't got enough sense once they call themselves Aboriginal to actually figure out which one of them groups they're gonna be. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that one.
Okay? Now that argument could apply to the same African Americans who think they're African. They call themselves individuals from Africa, a continent, not a country. They don't affiliate themselves with any sort of certain tribe or city or region, which the people who live over there do. Those people don't call themselves African. They don't. But they call themselves African. So you're laughing at yourself. And I have, oh my God, so much footage with this guy, Unc, doing the same exact thing, calling himself African over and over again, not affiliating himself to any particular group, calling himself a name, affiliating himself to a continent, a landmass, with the people, the tribes, the nations that are there don't even refer to themselves in that way. God, you just don't know how funny you just made yourself look, and everybody on this panel with you who I know and have seen, and there's footage out there that I could put together, show y'all repeatedly calling yourself Africans without picking no particular group. Let's move on.
Don't do that. But find a real indigenous, learn their culture and learn their God, and actually go amongst your people and hang out with them a little bit. Why did you go to Africa? Hold on. Why did you go to Africa, sis? I think it's funny. You know more about the Africans than you know about your own indigenous culture.
I can't take my bloodline.
No, sis, listen. Well, all I'm trying to help you with is that you went.
My Cherokee grandmother was disowned. My great grandmother was disowned for marrying a black man. But I challenge to say that black man was also a Indian.
Now you see that this is where the self-hatred comes in at.
Now, here's NETER's corny, but I gotta give him crafty argument that he's using, that the reason why a lot of these people are accepting this indigenous historical argument is because they have self-hatred of who they are. Now, like I said, when you call yourself indigenous and you cannot trace your history back, you make yourself look very ignorant. And when you call yourself African or African American and you can't trace your history to the slave boat that brought you over here, you look as ignorant as the person who's saying that they're indigenous. So his argument, be that what it may, to me, it's kind of corny, you know, and the way it unfolds, it even becomes even more cornier. And I'll show you what I mean. Let's go on.
It was taught.
He says she's Cherokee, y'all get it. So why you should learn the Cherokee gods and learn their whole thing. I don't think you're wrong in doing that, sis.
Another question is, how did the Cherokees become this other people and other color, and how were they able to retain their culture and their language?
Right.
But none of the black people, none of the black Cherokees have. That's just a research question for me.
And here's a research question for me based on the question that you asked. Do you speak Cherokee? Do you speak Cherokee, brother? I know you're back there behind Unc. I can't see too much of you because you's a dark brother. That's all right. Say it loud. You know, you dark and you proud, brother. But I'm just looking at you because I could see your teeth back there. And I'm asking you a question. Do you speak Cherokee? Do you know anything about the Cherokee culture to even say that the Indians that you are claiming that's Cherokee, that looks a whole nother color, is practicing a Cherokee culture?
One thing I want to add on is,
I'm sorry.
what I want to add on to what you're saying is that even if me and you were Cherokee, right, and we were quote unquote black Cherokees, we would at least have a holiday, a dance, a celebration, a food that we could say, hey, my grandmother used to cook this food for me.
Not if the people who conquered you wanted to strip you of your religion, your culture, and your history. That is a common thing that is done dating all the way back to the beginning of civilization, when man knew that he can conquer his brother. You don't allow them to practice their religion. You don't allow them to keep their language. You don't allow them to do these things. Because what you will have once you conquer them is a people who's capable of rising up and conquering you. Why? Because they'll learn your religion and they will learn your culture. They will learn you more than you will learn them. So you want to strip them of all that. That is a common practice. I don't see how these individuals could call themselves scholarly, and there's no way that they could be this dumb. They're playing dumb. They're playing dumb. There's no way that they could be this freaking dumb, man. No way. They're playing stupid right now, and I know that. They're playing stupid.
This particular meal, that whenever we did this quote-unquote ritual, we would know this. There's certain things I would remember. My mom would tell me, my mom was a history teacher, and that's story, but she was a Christian. Hold on, sis. Hold on.
Sis learned a lot. You learned a lot today, sis.
Right. There's something called ancestral history and psychology. All the things of our culture, African people, we have the ability to remember our past from our psychology. It's called collective consciousness. People can't just force you to forget things.
Listen, that was the most nuttiest statement I ever heard from Miss Dr. Pepper over there. I don't know, you putting some liquor in your Dr. Pepper. For real. People cannot just force you to forget things according to your own slave story. And according to the historical records of slavery and the historical records that they have of the Native Americans and how they did them, if you are separated from your culture as a child and you are raised without knowing your culture and your history, I will guarantee you by the time you have your next child, there won't be not a damn thing for you to remember. That is the most ridiculous crap I've ever heard in my life. The very African, so-called African culture that, and I don't even, I feel ignorant just saying African over and over again. Not no tribe, you know. I mean, you guys don't even know what tribe you are. You're forcing me to have to say African. Dang, where y'all from? Okay, what neck of the neighborhood on the continent of Africa do you come from? Huh? Zulu Lane? I mean, Pygmy Park Boulevard? I mean, where y'all from? I mean, I'm forced to make this ignorant statement of saying Africa in dealing with what you guys are saying. Her statement was the most nutty statement I ever heard in my life. Like I said, Dr. Pepper over here, she putting some liquor in her Dr. Pepper, probably some 151.
You know, if you were here and you already had a culture, a language, a history here, you would still retain that. A bunch of white people coming on the boat would not be able to do that because you still...
A bunch of white people coming on the boat would not be able to do that. See, I'm going to have to break this up into part 1, part 2, part 3, because I'm about to really go in on the ridiculousness of what these individuals is calling scholarship. I mean, for real. I'm going to make this part 1, because I'm not going to just have y'all, just sticking with me for such a long time. Because I know you guys got lives, you got things to do. You want to get that information and, get your dinner cooked, get your plans on. It is Saturday night. The weather is nice, whatever. But I'm going to put the smash on them. They going to know why they call me Apocalypse. They're going to know exactly why. And for those of you out there who don't know what apocalypse means, the true meaning of the word apocalypse is to reveal or to unveil. Now, it does have a destructive meaning to it, and that is a cataclysmic event where good destroys evil for all time. Okay? Now, I'm here to reveal or unveil.
the Native Americans and the indigenous people in South America, they still have their culture.
The indigenous, she obviously knows nothing. What culture do they have? Their cultures are so mixed up with Spaniard cultures, and what is she talking about? Come on, sister, you gotta. Come on, sister, you know what I'm saying? Jesus, man, you put some ice in that Dr. Pepper in 151, because I'm telling you, it's frying your brain right now. You really sounding ridiculous.
Some of the Hispanics, not Hispanics, but Mexicans in Mexico, they still have their culture. Black people, Africans are the only ones who have forgotten because
Black people or Africans? What do you mean? There we go again. No tribe, no region, no nothing. And you talking this way because ain't none of y'all, the most scholarly of y'all, have not traced your ancestry back to the slave boat that brought you over here. And that's not an argument that you can win and get out of, because in part 2, I'm going to show these people that you yourself you guys are coming out your own mouth saying that the records exist everywhere. So why aren't y'all doing it? Y'all so scholarly. You do so much research. Why in God's name can't you guys just team up, for instance? Everybody in the conscious community with your scholarly research abilities, just team up and say, you research Dr. Pepper over here's ancestry back to the slave boat that brought her over here. So you could celebrate and say, dang, we traced her to her original ancestor, and her ancestor was from the tribe of such and so. Came from this region of the continent that we call Africa.
What's up, Dad?
Come on in, Joe. That's my son, y'all. He just got home. So ring the doorbell. Maya will let you in. And Maya's my daughter, y'all. Let's get back on this, man. For real. Because like I said, I'm going to end this up. Because this is part 1. And then I'm going to go in on part 2 in a minute. I'm going to take me a little break. And then we're going to do part 2. And I'm going to put the smack across the lips, because y'all ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Chattel slavery. So if you can't remember, like Asar said, that is an indication that you're African. Native Americans remember. They've been through the same horrors as we've been through. Native Americans have been colonized just like we've been colonized. They've been murdered and butchered and raped as well, but they still remember their culture because it's passed down through oral tradition.
White.
Coach, you know this song?
I'm sorry?
I said we retain a lot of our
That's what I want to raise this book again. Africanisms in American culture. See, there was a fierce debate in like the 60s and whatnot on whether African Americans retain any African cultures. And so certain scholars prior to that would argue that we didn't, that everything was totally...
There's that broad word again, Africa, a whole goddamn continent with several countries, and in those countries, several different tribes of people living there, just broad as shit. You know, African culture. What is an African culture? What does that even entail?
Erased. But when they started really looking into things, we actually kept a lot of things, especially in our language. Like, there's a chapter in this book where a lot of the words from Africa is retained in African American language, which becomes part of the proper language. The way that we name our children, all those so-called ghetto names, there are African retentions in the way that we name our children. the way that we speak, the phonology in the way that we speak. So there's a reason why we don't say brother or mother. We say mother or brother. Because
listen to Mr. Scholarly. Mother or brother. What you're saying is the ER phonic. The ER phonic is straight up European. There's not going to be too many darker race cultures that use in that ER phonic. So, I mean, that could apply to tons of darker races of people, not just Africans. And that was a pathetic example that he gave. We say mother, father. Come on, man.
So-called Niger-Congo languages have to, for the most part, end in vowels. They don't like ending in consonants. And we don't like consonant clusters. You know what I'm saying? So, like, so there's a whole, as far as rituals, as far as dances is concerned. Like, there's, like, people don't understand that square dancing started with Africans in places like Congo Square. So my family originates primarily in Louisiana, Opelousas, New Orleans. And so there's a place in New Orleans called Congo Square, where, you know, where jazz started. Where, but these are certain
square dancing started in Africa. Let me tell you something right now. Brothers ain't doing no square dancing. Square dancing is a white thing. So if it did start in Africa, we ain't retain that. We don't be no swing your partner, don't see no. That white people do that. White people square dance. I know this for a fact. This is a popular thing with them. Brothers ain't going to the square dance. So what you talking? He's just making shit up. I'm sorry, man. I don't mean to blow up his spot like this, but this brother ain't never read that book. He flipping through all the pages. He don't go to chapter 9. He don't go to chapter 10. He don't cite a source of where he's reading. What he's reading, does no reading whatsoever. He just flips through the book flippantly. So it looks like to me that he hasn't even read that book. And if he did, he didn't contain a goddamn thing, because his examples absolutely stink. Let's move on.
Tensions from Africa that was brought here with new instrumentation, and then, you know, in terms of like the band music from the Europeans, when we create jazz. But those rhythms, those things, those dances, that do-si-do and all of that kind of stuff is from Africa.
Yeah, well, I saw, real quick, let you go real quick. Even when we begin to hear the drums and we hear drummers playing, it does something to our rhythm, to our spirit. When we tap in our feet, when we start moving, you know, even the drums bring us back home. So, go ahead, brother, you're right.
It's like an Indian wedding.
Most indigenous groups around the world, especially the darker race indigenous groups, the drum is a very important instrument in their musical ceremony. So why are you saying the drum? Like, the only place you can find a drum is in Africa. Stop playing.
Hear them drums? Did she do the rain?
Dum diddy dum dum. Dum dum.
Yeah, even the stories. Even the story, like the folklore, like you remember Dolomite way down in the jungle deep, the signified monkey. Like even the folklore and the stories are actually
Way in the jungle. What did she say? The Dr. Pepper need to be slapped. No. Oh no, we gonna freeze that. Way in the jungle and the signified monkey. That lady is crazy. Yo, Dr. Pepper be bugging.
Music from the Europeans, and we create jazz. But those rhythms, those things, those dances.
Listen to Dr. Pepper and what she said.
Kind of stuff is from Africa.
Listen to what she add. The doctor.
Let's go real quick. Even when we begin to hear the drums and we hear drummers playing, it does something to our rhythm, to our spirit. When we tap in our feet, when we start moving, you know, even the drums bring us back home. So, go ahead, brother, you're right.
Dance like an Indian wedding when she hear them drums? Did she do the rain?
yeah, like even like the folklore, even the stories. Like even the story, like the folklore, like you remember Dolomite way down in the jungle deep, the signified monkey. Like even the folklore and the stories are African.
You need to, you know what? Oh my God. Whoo! That one just says some of the most ridiculous crap that I've ever heard. Way in the jungle, which we know ain't that much jungle in Africa. There's very little jungle in Africa. And then she brings up the monkey in a folklore story about what she calls African Americans. This is the doctor in the group. That's why I'm calling her Dr. Pepper, man. You know, I'm serious. Dr. Pepper is tripping, man. She don't really fell off.
Look, I'm gonna raise this book one more time, just for the listening audience. Get yourself the second volume. There's two editions of this. So the one I'm holding up in my hand is the second edition. It's Africanisms in American Culture. There's another one.
Now, let me ask you about that book. Is there a chapter where you trace your history back to the slave boat that brought your first ancestor over here? Because if that book ain't got that in there, bruh, that book ain't shit.
One called the Bantu heritage of, say the blacks or the U.S. or something like that. That's another text that gives you such these rhythms. And so it's just what they said, especially that drum, like, especially when you hear, like, I'm from the South, so, back in the early 90s when Luke and Two Live Crew came out with that bass booty music and them drums,
what is up with these individuals? Why do they only think the only group of people on the planet that had a drum, let me see, was what they call them? Africa. They still ain't figured out. Here they don't have a whole conversation. They don't went in on this lady. Ain't now one of them figured out yet what tribe, what city, what region of this continent that they belong to. They still saying Africa. It's just crazy to me, man. It's crazy. Look at the hypocrites. You know why they so comfortable? Because they think they won the argument. Look at them. 4 or 5 of them, supposed to be scholars, educated, books all in the background, jumping on a lady who they know signed NETER, handpicked to come on this show so they can make the lady look bad. That was their whole intention, was to make the lady look bad, period.
Once the drums came on, Sister's hips started doing something ancestral, and no matter where you go, it's just going to snap and hit you. It's just something about this collective ancestral memory. But again, there's more specific retentions like gumbo, like okra, in terms of the foods that Garfield was speaking of earlier. See, now people in like Jamaica and the Caribbean, they were able to keep more of it. So they have just raw native, African words. Like when you hear, Jamaicans talking about your everything's Irie. Irie is the Yoruba word, saying for good. And so it those Yoruba, mixed of course with those Ashantis and from Ghana and things of this nature.
I'm gonna be wrapping this up real soon.
Culture, but they were able to retain more stuff. I remember.
Let me be wrapping this up. I just want to go to this part where they end it. Inside NETER says to the lady, okay, sister, we forgive you, and come on home, we love you, and they all bust out laughing at her. I think this is it right here. It's just obvious what they were doing. And they picked somebody that they know that didn't know what she was talking about. And then they brought on as many people as they possibly can, who, in my opinion, are intellectual jokes. I would have gave them all a 1-by-1 smackdown, and it would have been easy. It would have been like taking candy from a baby. Because the first thing I would establish is that Dr. Pepper ain't no doctor. And let's get one thing perfectly clear. I don't owe you no explanation that you don't. I shouldn't be giving you an explanation that you don't feel you should be giving me. And if you want it from me, you got to give it to me. Because bottom line is, There's no way you're going to convince me that I'm from Africa when you can't even show me that you are. And the only way you could show me is to trace your ancestry back to the slave boat that brought you over here. Okay? Because in a minute, I'm going to have all the documentation in my hand. And when I get it, then I'm going to be beating y'all up. I'm going to be catching y'all on the internet, running, and I'm going to beat y'all up all one by one. Let's listen how they end this. This is crazy. And this is going to be part 1, and I'm going to put part 2 up in a minute.
We love you, sis.
All right, now.
Look at Dr. Pepper.
Hold on. Hey, Sister Naya.
Yes, Brother Sanetta.
Did you hear what I heard? I want to ask everybody on the panel. Did you hear what I heard? It's like she's coming out of hurt, out of pain, like Africa done something to her. Like she
Now here's Sinetta with the bull. Sinetta's a good bull crapper. He is. He's a good bull crapper.
position of like you've been hurt by us, by African, like you hating yourself. Did y'all hear that?
Yes. Yes.
Hold on, sister. Sister Naya,
The sister said no. He said, hold on, sister. The sister said no. The sister said no. Now this is where they selling snake oil. 100% snake oil right here. Listen to this snake oil.
talk to us about what you hearing right now.
I just heard a sister,
Yeah.
man. I ain't no Indian.
Yeah, so I do. I mean, and Brother Sanetta, I can really like I give you props for hearing that, you know, for
I give you props. Listen to the doctor with the educated lingo. I give you props. She sound like a sister in the aisle of Family Dollar somewhere just running her mouth. She don't fail so far off. Y'all need to get a better person that know how to play the doctor, man. This one failed.
empathizing with the sister. I think what I heard was the dissatisfaction with racism and white supremacy, and the frustration with being descendant of a slave. I think that anytime you think about racism and slavery, it's very painful, you know, and people will do whatever we need to do to avoid pain. So I definitely heard the pain, but I also heard her say that she would never deny her African heritage. So,
that's because we all know that all life came from Africa. All life migrated from Africa, and the first migration started 70 to 75,000 years ago, and those individuals kept migrating until they reached the Americas, like between 20 and 15,000 years ago. So what are you talking about? And this is something I'm going to go into when I show you part 2. White people in Europe can't deny their African heritage, okay? And stop saying Africa, because every time y'all say it, I got to say it. And it just really sounds so dumb. It just sounds so detached and dumb. For real, man. Y'all got to figure out who y'all going to be. For real.
Becoming like fully integrated into yourself is that we have to learn to take the good with the bad. Slavery should not be something that you run from or something that you should feel embarrassed of. Because one thing about slavery and about our ancestors were that they were resilient. And that resiliency helped them to survive. And so you can either focus on slavery or you can focus on the resiliency. So there's not.
You can't focus on slavery without focusing on the resiliency. How do you get resilient without being the slave? So what you just said, just once again, Dr. Pepper, I'm serious. I don't know what you mixing with that Dr. Pepper you drinking, but damn, you know, they need to start selling that at the bars. I'm serious. They had a crowd sounding like you about right now.
No need to be embarrassed. There's no need to be in pain.
Why would somebody be embarrassed if they understand how resilient they're? First of all, let me tell you something. When you look at the African American story, there is no African American that will ever feel embarrassed for being who they are, because the resilience of their people is shown constantly. We see it all the time. We see it all the time. How they did us, how it was through the Jim Crow era, all these stories, the civil rights movement. Stop playing. We know we bad. Now we dominate shit. Got everybody shook. Come on now. We know we bad. The question is, are we African? And I hate using that word, being it's only because y'all ain't picked no group y'all want to belong to yet. Are we from that continent, or are we indigenous? Because when I look at us and I look at an African, I see a different person. Me and an African, we have different energy. We have a different spirit. African don't have no spirit like me. African be corny as hell. He be corny. Fucking L7, man. And I don't mean to use profanity, but they be squares. They don't know how to talk. They don't know how to walk. They don't know how to dress. They just throw any old colors on. I'm serious, man. Stop playing. Africans are nothing like us. I don't know where you're getting that from, but like I said, man, listen, I'm going to end it here. I'm gonna fast forward because I really want y'all to hear them and what they say to this sister, man, at the end.
This is important. I'm trying to deal with this sister, though. Yo, you bad.
Now I'm going past this because Sinetta makes this argument. He asked her if she ever been hurt by a black man and ever dated a black man. And she said yes. Now, if she really felt that we may be indigenous, her answer should have been, I don't really know what he was. He was my complexion. He could have been an African descent or indigenous descent. I really don't know. But Sinetta stopped there and asked her, did the black man hurt her? And this was his way of saying, see, you've been hurt. That's why you have this anger. And without asking her, has she ever dated a Spanish man or a white man? She could have dated a bunch of people that may have, did her wrong. I know I have, because I know that every race got some decent people. Every race got some knuckleheads. Every race got some people you can't trust. Every race got their intelligent, very intellectual people. Every race got these people, man. For real, the more races you deal with, the more you'll understand that. Let me see if I'm at this part. There we go. He's asking her, has she ever dated a black man and went left? And then she said, yeah. And he just ended it by saying, aha, see there. Without asking her, have you ever dated a Spanish man that went left on you? She might have dated one of them too. But he didn't ask.
So that's why I'm trying to let the doctor deal with the problem. Hey, sit back. Let the doctor deal with this, man.
You asked me a question that I have a relationship, I haven't done with that yet. Now, my husband in the picture, I don't have a problem that's going there.
You hear what she said? Straightened him right out. She said, listen, yeah, I had that relationship. Yeah, it went bad. But as far as the African American man I'm dating now, I don't have a problem there. Bam! She keeps smacking him down when he's coming up with this ridiculous argument. Now he gonna change up the subject and say you look familiar. He's slick. She don't shot his argument down. All right, let's stop this here because why is it doing that? Having this problem of reloading. Hold on, let me go back. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go back here and let's see what we got.
Yeah, I've seen you before. You look familiar. You know it.
I'm from York. Why y'all weather heavy? I'm a native New Yorker, even though my history, I was born in Yonkers, but that makes me a native New Yorker. But at the end of the day, they ran for this bill, but I could be born in somebody's frozen. All right.
All right, family. Sorry for prolonging that, but there's another segment I want to play, but I got to bring my team in.
Okay, they didn't show it.
Team in real quick.
They didn't show it. I may have went past it.
Share the show, family. Share the show.
Now, we're going to stop it right there. Because this is what they said to her at the end. Oh, sister, we love you. Thanks for come on home. All that. Come on, sister. You not an aborigine. All this bull crap at the end. But as you could see, I pointed out the serious questions that you got to ask yourself when you look at this video. If you anybody that got a brain the size of an amoeba. Now that's part one. I'm going to put up part two later of what I see as a side netters, a shameful scam. I mean, shameful, pathetic scam in dealing with the abolitionist argument. And we can Peace.